presence of His dear face. All sorrow will erase. All sorrow will He. So bravely run the race. So bravely run the race till we see Christ. You know, those old songs stuck in me somewhere as a little boy. And they just come to me from time to time when I'm on a platform. We have the answer to every problem there is known to mankind. We have it. We do. There is a disease that has run rampant in our world. And we know the cure. And a little 17-year-old girl wrote this song. We sang it the other night. 17 years old. She said it better than I can say it. Watch it, listen.
For a world that's lost in darkness, for the saint who's gone astray, for the sinner blind and searching, for the child in need of faith, for the homeless and forsaken, for the hungry and the cold, for the prisoner and the captive, for the young and for the old, there is a remedy. For every sin-sick soul, there is a cure for all. For all the
County Commission work session now come to order. First on the agenda we have Miss Ashton. I was fixing to say yes, it's Miss Ashton Hutchinson. Thank you for being here today. Come on up, Miss Ashton.
Go ahead.
You go right ahead.
All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Ashton Hutchinson, as the Chairman said. I am the Director of Community and Economic Development for South Central Alabama Development Commission. This is an informal public hearing concerning the county's intent to submit an application to the Alabama Department of Economic and Community Affairs Community Development Block Grant Program requesting economic development funds. The Commission will seek $500,000 to resurface County Road 7714, located north of Troy. This road will serve Rex Lumber Company. As a result of the proposed activity, Rex Lumber will hire 110 persons, of which 51% are required to be of low and moderate incomes. The total project cost is $1 million. The county intends to match the application with funds received from the Economic Development Administration's Public Works and Economic Assistance Program. This hearing is to inform you of the Commission's decision to request CDBG ED funds and to invite the public to respond to the proposed activities and to identify other needs within the community. The county will then incorporate those comments into the county's most recent needs assessment document. Should the Commission proceed with submission of this application, it will be available for citizen review at the Office of the County Administrator after May 11th, 2018. As I said, this is an informal public hearing, so at this time I would like to open the floor up. If you have questions, comments, or opinions you would like to bring up now, please raise your hand and you can have the floor. Or if you have questions from the Commission that you would like to ask me, please do so.
Anybody got any questions? Anybody in the audience have any questions? Okay, Ms. Ashton. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Engineer.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Do I need to turn this back since I'm addressing y'all now? We have a few items tonight on the agenda. We have two under new business. The first is our monthly project update. And as always, I'll try to answer any questions about any of those projects if I can. We do, you might notice, striping project out the side there. We're trying to, working towards developing a striping project for center lines. And we'll let that roll down to current business. But if any of you have any particular roads that you want us to include in that, and I don't know when it'll be, it may end up being later this summer, but I want to just go ahead and get the ball rolling. So if you have any individual particular roads you want to make sure that we include in that, just let us know and we'll make sure that they get on there. The second item there is we're just introducing the process to vacate a portion of County Road 7724 where the Rex Lumber Mill site is. I don't know if Alan wants to add anything to that or not.
Well, I think we've known all along that this would be a necessary step because they're going to build, the structure's going to be partially on top of a portion of the road. And so the plan from day one was to vacate 7724 and then at some point it's going to be relocated upon the north boundary somewhere along there of the parcel, and Industrial Development Board will deed back the surveyed new road, which will then be dedicated as public road. So the question came up at one of our last meetings was, well, when do we go vacate 7724? And the consensus was, do it now. The one reason is, right now it is a county road. Russell can speak to this as well as I can, because engineers are taught this. The liability out there, as long as it's a county road, is on the county, no matter what they're doing out there. So when they have men working in machines and they're all over, they're feeling all over the top of County Road 7724, that's our road. So we need to go ahead and vacate it, and then it'll be become the property of IDB, and then it'll just be vacated until we establish the new road whenever that time comes. So sooner rather than later on the vacation. So what I've got, and is that in the packet, Mackenzie, do you know? The notice of intent? Okay. I know, Russell, you got it, right?
I emailed.
Yeah, the notice of intent to vacate. What we just need, and you can, I know it's under new business. Again, I mean, this doesn't have to happen today or next week or what, but every day we are allowing work out there, and as I understand it, they are using our road to work privately. We need to vacate it. So to me, this is one that would call for suspension of the rules and then just a motion to vacate the portion of 7724, and then I will run the notice that's required to be run in the paper, just like we have on other roads. There'll be a hearing set, and I'll let everybody know when that is.
Question. It said portion. Why, if we're gonna do, like my understanding is here, that it might have to be the whole road. I'm just aware of my understanding, but that it's portion. If that road's still being used and they're using it, the other part will be cut off, so what's the use of detouring and all that different stuff from that road?
Well, I'm not sure I understand your question, but there are people that live on the other.
If you close portion of it, you know, how are the people that lives on the road going, which way they gonna come out?
It's got 2 or 3 other access points in there.
There's another road that intersects with it. They can use that road, or they can come out the south end that the city of Troy helped us pave, you know, down close to the river bridge on 231 there. Comes, it intersects with US 231 just north of Conecuh River.
So you know how many miles it is from where they want, from you gonna close it back?
I don't, but now we've already closed that portion of the road to traffic. We put up barricades and closed it, you know, just for, to isolate the traveling public from the construction site. So we've already done that. So, you know, they're already accessing their property the other ways.
Okay.
It's County Road 7738, Commissioner, just so you know. And we had some rock put out there, and we had to redo the water line, and the water line is now down that road. And they do have that in and out access, and even if it's bad weather, they can get in and get out.
That's what I was always gonna say. I wanted him to say he done some work.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, where the people are gonna get out of it.
Yeah, they got it in and out, and it's in good shape.
We made sure they had a good way to get in and out before we closed.
Okay, that's fair.
And they've all been talked to and know that it's, I mean, it's technically a relocation, but you got to vacate what you got now before you can relocate, so they know that too.
Right.
Well, my son was about the people's, how they were gonna get out, that's what I was.
They good. Anything else? Al? Russell?
Okay, moving down to current business, we have under personnel, we handed you a memo that looks like this with 2 recommendations. In addition to that memo, we would like to get permission to advertise in-house for an engineer aide 1. This is to replace an employee who's retiring in the near future.
Engineer aide 1.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And then we also have the industrial access project and the potential CDBG project, which I think Ms. Ashton has adequately covered. But as you all know, you approved at your last meeting the engineer for the other project, the industrial access project, provide the main access for the mill. So we just had that on there because we knew that the public hearing for the other one would be tonight. So we'll keep that on there and let it continue to stay on current business if that's what you want us to do. I didn't have anything
Specific.
Anything else to report on that tonight.
Questions for the engineer?
The number 5, the industrial access project, that's due April the 27th or something, is that right? For a June meeting, is that when it would go
Right.
for the decision?
I believe that date is correct, but I know the month is.
What, do a little, let's get together and do a little research about when would be the proper time to start going and doing some, handshaking and talking about this before that June meeting so that we can, be working this thing hard, make sure it goes.
Okay. Any more questions? I would think that would probably coincide with the date of submission of the application, but
I got one, Mr. Chairman. Russell, you still moving forward on the mechanic position? Hired mechanic?
yes,
Okay.
we are. We don't have any recommendations for that right now. And we did have one other item on the agenda too. That's the PALS, Don't Drop It on Alabama Spring Cleanup. We handed each one of you a package that looks like this. There's some literature in there, but I would like to thank the Troy Messenger for, I don't know if you read the article they put in there this weekend, in this previous weekend edition for the PALS program, but just to kind of reiterate, it is PALS is People Against a Littered State, and they have a spring cleanup where they invite individuals and groups to participate. So if you want to take your packet and read the information there, at this point, the main task, I guess, is public relations work, advertising, getting the word out, and getting people on board to help to participate. So, but if anybody would like to participate, if they'll call our office, Renee Green is our coordinator for this program, but it's pretty simple. Just call and get signed up, and you can come by our office, the road department at 301 Riverview Drive, and pick up the bags. The PALS provided the bags, and we have them in our office. So we'll provide the bags to you, and then when you clean up the litter, we'll have a drop-off location in front of the road department facility for the bags full of litter. So pretty easy, pretty simple. Just call us and come get the bags, and then when you're done, drop them off, and we'll do the rest.
Sounds good.
Of course,
Go ahead.
Russell, you stated that the person that you're gonna hire is gonna be in your aide, and guys retiring. When is he gonna be able to, when is he gonna be able to retire?
I believe his official retirement date is June the 1st.
And that's when this fellow will take over.
Right.
On June 1st.
That's right.
And that's when it's grade, everything starts, grade, upgrade and all that.
That's correct.
On that day.
That's right.
Okay.
Anybody got anything? Go ahead.
Katie Thomas with Extension sent me an email earlier about PALS and said she was going to be on WTBF Thursday morning to help promote it a little bit as well. I noticed you got 3 ADEM sites that you're trying to get approved. Now, help me out, because I know at one point you described those that the only reimbursement for ADEM was going to be for tires. So what are we picking up tires and the solid waste, and we're just kind of going to?
Well, we have a like a multi-year agreement with them under that program, under the scrap tire program. And under that agreement, we just go out anytime we find scrap tires that are out, on the roadside, we just go pick them up, and they reimburse us, just on a continuing basis for that. And they do not, my understanding is they do not pay for the cleanup of associated solid waste with that anymore. But these sites will be individual large sites that will request approval for individually outside of the multi-year agreement. And on those, my understanding is that they will still pay us to clean up all of what's there.
Okay. I also noticed 6618, the bridge is, say, complete all, but just a few things. When do we expect that?
Hopefully sometime this week. I mean, it is almost finished.
Gotcha. And then I know that one other thing on your list, you had on 6628, obviously that there was no more grant funds for it, but we were going to try to repair it. Is that what I understand from your?
Right. We'll have to repair some of the timber piles under there, and then really what it amounts to is filling up a scour hole and then doing some mitigation work, putting out some rip wrap so that it won't scour out again. But it's kind of wet right now, so, you know, we're kind of trying to find the right moment to jump in there and do that.
That's the Josie to Boot Hill, along the line.
It's going to be the Pooh River Relief Bridge. One of them, there's two of them.
And one more thing, I know we've had a discussion about this, but will you go back over for us, for me tonight, our official policy on what we do on driveways, what the county will pay for and kind of the process?
Okay. It's the commission's policy to install an access for each piece of property. And we will install a driveway turnout free of charge. All the labor, equipment, and materials free, except the citizen has to purchase the pipe. And the pipe has to meet our approval, of course. We will, generally we try to put in nothing shorter than a 30-foot stick of pipe, and the maximum amount that we will put in for one location is 40 feet length of pipe. Anything over that, we will install for reimbursement of labor, equipment, and materials. And we do that occasionally. Somebody wants a longer driveway for some reason, and we'll do that, but the citizen has to pay for anything over 40 feet. So, I mean, that's basically it. One thing that trips people up sometimes is if they already have a driveway turnout, some of the older pipes will corrode or crumble or, you know, deteriorate and have to be replaced. And the county does not pay for those pipes either. We'll replace it free of charge, but the citizen would have to purchase the pipe for that as well.
Is there any kind of agreement, or what do we do to keep up areas that we have polling places at?
Trying to think, that's a good question. You kind of caught me off guard with that one. I mean,
I know we discussed some of this. Some of this came up after our discussion today. And that's the reason I'm asking. If you can get back with me on the answer to that.
Yeah, I can't think of an exact instance where we've had an issue with that. I think generally those have mostly been at places that already had a driveway. But I mean, I know we've assisted with setting those voting booths up.
All right.
You got anything else?
That's all we have.
Anything else for the engineer?
I do.
Go ahead.
I know that we got 4 brand new tractors ordered, and it brought us, when we started spraying and contracting out, that it could cut out on the fleet.
Right.
Seemed like to me.
7 to 4.
Huh?
7 to 4. We had 7, and the plan is to reduce our fleet down from 7 to 4. Now we do have one old tractor that we kept so we wouldn't be without any tractors during the interim. You know, we had to have our old ones up to sale. We had to have them up at the auction before we were able to get our new ones in. So we kept one back just to help us make the transition, but our plan is to sell it next year. But yes, sir, you're right. We got two of each, 2 different types of models, 4 new tractors.
That's it. Okay. Anything else? Thank you, Russell.
Thanks.
EMA?
I don't have any action items tonight, just quick updates. First, on the Pike County Courthouse, they're going to begin installing the reader on the bottom door and putting the alarm in that will alarm up at the security desk. So if you go out the back door on the bottom, you've got to have a fob to go out that door, or scan to go out the door. Otherwise, if someone lets somebody in that bottom door of the courthouse without swiping, it will activate an alarm that somebody has propped that door open or opened that door for someone that's not authorized. In addition, the sirens will go out there later this week. Also, next week, the week of the 9th, which, not the week of the 9th, 16th, we're going to be meeting up with Eddie Culpepper, our consultant, and we're going to have the Water Department or the Pike Water Authority and REA or the electric co-op so we can move forward on the Meeksville project. We've got to meet up there and get everything worked out with the consultant, with the engineer and the architect, and Mr. Harmer, I'll let you know as soon as that date's set and time set. We're going to meet up there and get everything worked for and pull the trigger on the Meeksville shop project. Okay. And then lastly, in 2 weeks when we meet, Chris and I are going to come back together with a proposal. We have spent some time talking about what we saw from Chambers County, what we heard from Chambers County. Chris has been able to get information from the guy in Chambers County. We're going to come back with a recommendation or proposal in 2 weeks for consideration, and we'll go from there. We're meeting with the other entities here in the county that we need to meet with.
Okay.
Questions?
Beth? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Alan, I know you got one thing on here for opioid litigation.
Yeah, we'll, since that is for the county, I mean, there's pending litigation, as we all know, all over the country on that, and particularly the class action that's in Chicago. But we, as y'all know, y'all have been visited a time or two with some firms that are soliciting, for a lack of a better description, which is exactly what is going on. But we'll talk in executive session, since it does involve potential litigation involving the county. And then I think after that, we'll be prepared to come out and probably vote on selecting a firm to simply refer it to on the line, which is really all that you'll be voting on.
Okay. Any questions for the attorney? Any commissioner have a report?
I got one thing.
Go ahead.
I know I talked a couple weeks ago about the simplified seller's use tax program, and that you know, part of it was in jeopardy. It did pass, and the governor signed it this week. I noticed that Ms. Deborah has got the report in our that internet sales tax in our financial report this time. There's some estimates about how that's going to change. I'll try to put something together and email to you guys, because I don't want to. I've got some figures from the state, but we might want to check on ourselves before we, you know, put them out to the public. But you know, that was a good thing. It does keep our brick and mortars on a more level playing field than they were. It actually did a little bit to help that. So I want to give you all an update on it.
Thank you, sir. Anything else? Okay. Administrator's report.
Okay, first we've got the point of contact for broadband issues. I put a copy of a House joint resolution, and there's also a House resolution where they're wanting you to appoint someone to be the point of contact for broadband issues with ADECA. It has to be done within 60 days of its passage. It was passed on March the 20th, so I mean, you can make a decision tonight, or you can push it forward and do it at a later time.
I recommend that we appoint Russell Johnson to that, and we can vote on that at the regular meeting.
The next thing under the administrator, if y'all don't have any more questions on that, the next thing would be the Sheriff Thomas is here tonight to talk about a couple of things, the jail food account and surplus equipment.
Come on up, Sheriff. Talk about the things you have for us.
We're gonna go into executive session.
Yes, sir. So but you got some stuff you got to declare for surplus?
Yes, sir. There's several items listed there that I'd like for Commissioner to declare surplus property. Some will be sold at the cattleman's auction, and some will just be sold for scrap.
Anybody got any questions about any of this? Or any questions for the sheriff?
Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. Appreciate it.
I have one other thing that I didn't get until today in the mail. We've got a check for $15,373.09, and that is from our ACCA Workers Self-Insurance Fund. It's from where we do our safety incentive program. So we got back a nice little check this time.
That'll work.
On that. That's all I've got on the administrative report. Current business, we've got, I don't know if y'all have anything on the personnel for the county administrator.
I don't think there's anything to, go ahead, Commissioner.
We're supposed to meet tonight on.
Right, we're going to executive session with it, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was the plan. That's still the plan.
Yes.
The only other thing that I have tonight would be on the CDBG, the EDA grant that Ashton has already talked about tonight. I've got 3 resolutions for that grant. One is for the, 2 of them are for the applications for the 2 separate grants. And then one of them is for the professional services resolution. And I believe you said it, we only got 1 response for the professional services for the engineering.
And that's, is that CDG? Okay. All right.
So that's all we have on that.
Any questions? Thanks, ma'am. If nothing else come before the commission at this time, we will now adjourn until our regular meeting time at 6 p.m., about 12 minutes. Oh.
There is a solution for all the problems
camping just a while back with a couple of high school friends. And on Sunday morning I wanted to find a church to worship in. So I packed my truck and I headed out. Then I saw it in a cloud of dust. It was the Ebenezer Fellowship Non-Denominational Baptist Free Will Church. When I walked in, it was time to start, and that little church was packed. There was only one seat on the very front row, even though I really wanted the back. So I walked right down and I took a seat. Then a hush fell over the place. Oh, and a sweet little gray-haired woman walked up and said, "Boy, I have something to say." Folks around here call me Granny. I'm as sweet as I can be. Well, I volunteer for everything. They couldn't make it without me. I teach Sunday school, I sew and bake. I'm even in charge of the Christmas play. And there's only one thing I ask in return, a lesson you should learn. Don't sit in my pew, you know it belongs to me. I've been sitting right here at least 40 years, and that's the way it's gonna be. I can tell that you are new around here, so you better get one thing clear. If you know what's good for you, don't sit in my pew. Well, I walked to the back of the church feeling just about as tall as a flea when one of those deacons walked up and handed me a brown, ice-cold metal folding chair. So I sat out there in the aisle and I listened to the choir sing, "I Shall Not Be Moved," while the preacher preached a fine sermon on like a tree planted by the waters. And then he looked at me and he said, "When our service is over with, we want our special guest to stay for some of Granny's red velvet cake." So I went over there to the fellowship hall, and after they said the blessing, I looked down there and noticed that I didn't have a fork. Well, I figured I'd made enough commotion for one day, so I thought, I'll just ease in there in the kitchen. I'll find the utensil drawer and help myself. Well, that's what I did. But just about the time I pulled that drawer open, somebody spun me around. It was Granny. "Stay out of my kitchen. You know it belongs to me. I've been a-cooking in here at least 40 years, and that's the way it's gonna be. So if you need a fork, if you need a spoon, the next time stay in the other room. Boy, you better pay attention. Stay out of my kitchen." And then she reached up and kissed me on the cheek and said, "Granny sure hopes you come back next week. But if you do the next time, don't get my parking space, don't sing so loud, wear a coat and tie, come early enough for Sunday school, stay out of my kitchen, but most of all, I can tell that you are new around here, so you better get one thing clear. If you know what's good for you, say it with us, don't sit in my pew. But just remember, Granny loves you." Now, let me tell you, if y'all never seen us before, let me just tell you real quickly. Take one look at Mary Alice. Now, I know this is going to hurt, but take one look at me. Folks, I'm here to tell you that the Lord is still in the miracle working business. Woo! Some of you men don't need to laugh too loud, because I can look out there and tell you that you outpunted your coverage too, okay?
Now bow with me. Father, for everything we have, for the beauty of this day, we give you thanks. For all our many blessings, for allowing us to serve. We ask that you give us the wisdom we need to do the business of the people of Pike County and let it be pleasing unto thy sight. Forgive us where we fail you every day, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let the record show that all commissioners are present. Approving of the minutes from the last meeting.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Barron, second by Commissioner Wright. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Approving of claims.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Johnson. Second by Commissioner Harris. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Engineers report. Hey, John.
Mr. Chairman, the only thing that we had tonight requiring action, I believe, was the personnel recommendations and the request to advertise in-house for an EA1.
Okay, we need a motion for that.
Mr. Chairman, I'll engineer's request.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Barron.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Johnson. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Does that cover both requests or just the recommendation?
It'd be all of it.
Okay.
What else?
That's all we had, sir.
Any questions?
Russell, while you're there, just since it's under engineer, the motion to begin the process for vacating County Road 7724, we need to do, if y'all want to do that tonight, then you need to suspend the rules and then make the motion to begin for the, because, you know, remember, this is distinguished from an abutting landowner coming in and asking. This is the commission initiating the vacation. So it's a little bit different.
And we got to advertise a month before we need.
Same thing. Once you do that, it's the same process.
So the motion's gonna be first to suspend the rules, and we'll do that. Then the next motion will be to begin the process of vacation.
And the reason behind the suspending the rules is what I've already explained. Every day you have a county road and they're out there working on it with heavy equipment, you've got problems.
Yes, sir. Okay. So, yeah. Commissioner Wright. So we need a motion to suspend the rules.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Commissioner Wright, seconded by Commissioner Johnson, and it requires a roll call vote.
Yes.
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 And the motion carries to suspend the rules, and now we can vote on the road close vacation.
Motion to close the road 7724.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Wright.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Barron. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Is that all? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you. I'm sorry I forgot about that.
That's all right. You may add, Herb, you got anything to add? Okay, thank you, Herb. Alan, you got anything to add?
Nothing to add.
Okay. Does any commissioner have anything to add at this time?
I have one.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, on the spring cleanup of District 3, and we don't have a cleanup on, I talked to Jacob, the tour master, on 7708 Leadmore Road. We're going to have a cleanup from like 8 to 12.
What's the date?
April the 21st.
April 21st?
On a Saturday.
Okay. All right, anybody else? Okay. Administrator's report.
Okay, I've got the point of contact for broadband issues with ADECA.
And that recommendation would be for Russell Johnson.
We're suspending the rules since it's under new business.
Yeah, we need to suspend the rules on this. Is that right, Alan?
I make a motion to suspend the rule.
Motion by Commissioner Harris.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Barron. Roll call vote.
Yes.
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 Motion carries. And now a motion for the appointment.
Yes, and I make recommendations for Russell Johnson to be that appointment.
Motion by Commissioner Harris.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Barron. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
One abstain due to conflict.
Motion carries. Okay. And we need to vote on the surplus equipment, don't we?
And that'd be a suspension of the rules too.
Okay. So we need a motion to suspend the rules.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Copeland, seconded by Commissioner Wright. Roll call vote.
Mr. Harris.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Harris. I heard it from down there. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yes.
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 Sorry.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Move that we make this
Surplus.
list that he has surplus.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Copeland, seconded by Commissioner Barron. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, under current, right now, I believe we're gonna wait on the jail food account right this moment, aren't we?
Right.
Okay. Under current business, personnel, county administrator. I don't know if y'all are ready.
That has nothing to
Okay.
do on that until we go into executive session.
All right, the only other thing I have is we do have 3 resolutions that we'll need to adopt for the CDBG EDA grants. 2 of them are for the approving the application for the grants, and 1 is for to approve the services with CDG engineers.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
make a motion that we take both at the same time.
We can do them all at once.
Yeah.
Doing them all at once by Commissioner Harris.
I second that motion.
Seconded by Commissioner Johnson. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries.
Okay, the only other thing, our next scheduled meeting is on a county holiday, Confederate Memorial Day. That's all I have.
I think we got enough that, and if the commission wants to take it off, we can take it off, but we'll need to meet on that Tuesday. So that our next meeting will be the 24th at 5:15 p.m., beginning the work session on Tuesday.
Do we want to do a motion for that?
I'll make a motion, we have changed that next meeting day for the 24th with the work session beginning at 5:15.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Johnson, seconded by Commissioner Barron. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And I think now we need to, is that all?
Yeah, that's all I have in the executive.
We need to go into executive session
For the minutes, which we have to document and record for McKenzie, it looks like we need to go in executive session on opioid litigation, and that's under the litigation exception, whether it's threatened, pending, contemplated, potential. I mean, it's just under that category. The next item we're going to executive session on is the sheriff's under administrative report of the jail food account, which likewise involves the same exception of potential litigation involving not necessarily our sheriff, but sheriffs in general that might involve the county we need to discuss. And then the third is the county administrator line item or agenda item with, that would be good name and character exception, because you'll be discussing the applicants by name and character and background and other things of that nature.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I make a motion that we go in executive session.
Motion by Commissioner Harris.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Barron. Roll call vote.
Yes.
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 Motion carries, and the time limit's about 40 minutes, wouldn't you say, Al? An hour?
No, sir.
An hour. Good an hour. Okay. We should return within an hour.
Alice and I, we did both travel with other groups for many years, and then about 8 years ago, we got united in Holy Macaroni, and then all of a sudden, I woke up and I realized I was a manager. Folks, It's not easy being a manager. The pastor called us right after we started. In fact, and he said, Tim, I'd like for you and Mary Alice to come sing at our church, and it's going to be a New Year's Eve program. I said, all right. I said, where are you located? That's a big word I learned from Mary Alice, means where are you at? I said, where are you located? He said, we're in Winnipeg, Manitoba. And I didn't know where Manitoba was, but I knew if it started with an M, it was close to Mississippi. I said, we'll be there. When we got on a plane, we live close to Asheville, up in the mountains of North Carolina. I'm from Alabama originally. Thank you very much. I don't know if that's for Asheville or Alabama, but go ahead and clap either way. Mom, just settle down. But Mary Alice from Ohio, I'm from Alabama. But see, I have grits flowing in my veins. And so when we left the mountains, it was 20 degrees. I'm telling the truth. That's already cold enough for Alabama blood. When we landed in Toronto, it was 20 below zero. Now get a hold of this. They said, Tim, where you and Mary Alice are going, it's going to be cold. And they were telling the truth. That plane landed in Winnipeg, Manitoba, and it was 40 below zero with a constant wind chill of 60 below zero. Folks, when you're wearing a coat that you've purchased from Walmart, it'll do you no good up there. I pulled my harmonica out to play a couple notes. It stuck to my lips. We got out of the cab going over to the motel. I got out of the cab there and before the concert, and I heard something go clink. I said, Mary Alice, please look down there on the sidewalk, because either I've dropped my keys or one of my ears just fell off. Folks, I was freezing to death. But a couple of days later, we were over at these folks' house and got up early that morning, the McFarlands. And we got up early that morning, and I had some coffee and a little quiet time with the Lord. You know how that time, how precious that time is. And I was looking out over the beauty of God's creation, and they had a bird feeder out there. Now, I'm just simple enough to think if the Canadian geese head south, those little ones must check in a Motel 6. But I looked out there, and there were the sparrows. And they not only were surviving, they were singing their little hearts out to the Creator of the universe. And I'm here to tell you, it dawned on me that morning, if God can really take care of a Manitoba sparrow when it's 60 below, don't you think He can take care of us as His children here this afternoon? Amen. I love this old song, and I love to hear Mary Alice sing. Listen to it, His Eyes on the Sparrow. me tell y'all something. A lot of y'all think that you're looking at a duet, but you're not. This February the 14th, we're officially going to be a trio. Valentine's Day, yeah. Woo! Somebody asked if I was going to tell any stories or not today, and I just need to tell this to get it off my, I just need to tell y'all this. When I've been thinking about that, just hang with me. When I was in junior high school, I had a history teacher named Sophronia Claremont, Mrs. Sophronia Claremont, and you wouldn't laugh if you were in her classroom when she said her name. And Mrs. Sophronia, I used to ask her stuff all the time, and I wanted to know why I had to know all the details about history. Just tell me that we started our country, that our president didn't lie, and his name was George Washington, and here we are today. I didn't understand all those details, and she would tell me, Miss Sophronia would say, Tim, someday history will come alive to you. And you'll understand behind everything that happens, there's a deeper meaning. Well, I believe Mrs. Sophronia, and for years and years, I wake up every morning and go, has history come alive to me yet? And it hadn't. Until just a while back. Now, I don't know if any of y'all know it or not, but these Victorian tea rooms, they've got them around here in this area. These Victorian tea rooms where the ladies go and put one little pinky up, they are popping up all over the United States. I'm serious. Mary Alice and I'll go to a church to sing, and there will be like a sign saying, Saturday afternoon, ladies, high tea, gloves and hats required. I'm very serious. We drive to some dates, we fly to some dates. We flew into to a concert, and the pastor picked us up, and he said, now, Tim, some of the men want to have coffee with you this afternoon, but the ladies, they already have plans for Mary Alice. They're going to a Victorian tea room. Well, that's fine. Women want to go dress up and have tea. That's fine. Well, not too long ago, Mary Alice and our office manager, Charlene Seifert, were supposed to go over near Asheville, one of those Victorian tea rooms, kind of a ladies' day. Well, Charlene called at the last minute and couldn't go. So Mary Alice asked me if I'd like to go with her. Well, I've read those Gary Smalley books. I understand about that bonding stuff. So I said, all right, I'll go. Men, if there's any of you men in here, if you've never been to a Victorian tea room before in your life, don't do it. Don't do it. We got there, and I never seen, our last name is Lovelace. Means somewhere back in history somebody loved lace. I don't love lace like that. It looked like a truckload of lace and a truckload of antiques that had an awful wreck into somebody's house. We got there, ladies were sitting there all dressed up, and one corner of them was just yakking away. Boy, they were talking and yakking. I figured they were part of the Yakaholics Association or something. I didn't know. They were just talking, and I went over there and I sat down with Mary Alice, and there was a lady in like kind of a canary yellow dress and a canary yellow hat, staring at me like, what in the world are you doing here? Which is exactly what I was thinking myself. I was wanting to get this over with. Well, the waitress came over there kind of a British type accent, and she asked me what I'd like to drink. Well, she gave me like a little napkin to start with, and she called it a serviette. I poked that down in my belt, trying to look all prim and proper. Then she wanted to know what I wanted to drink and what kind of tea. Well, being from South Alabama, I consider myself almost an expert on tea. I said, just give me a tall, cold glass of Lipton's iced tea, make it sweet. She said, we don't have any sweet tea. I said, well, I've been to New York before. Just give it unsweetened and a pound of sugar and I'll fix it up myself. She said, I don't think you understand. We don't have any cold tea. And I said, well, this is a tea room. What kind of tea do you have? She started naming off stuff I'd never heard of in my life. Chamomile tea. Have you ever...
Chamomile. Chamomile tea.
It sounds bad either way you pronounce it. raspberry, blackberry, strawberry, sassafras, Earl Black, all kind of stuff.
Earl Grey.
Earl Grey. Earl Grey. It doesn't matter, black or gray. It was just awful sounding. I said, well, bring me the best. This is not funny, folks. I said, bring me the best cup of whatever you got. Then she said, what would you like to eat? I thought, now we're getting somewhere because I know something about groceries. I said, well, what do you have? She started naming off stuff I'd never heard of.
Crumpets.
Crumpets. What in the world is a crumpet? That sounds like Jerry Goff's trumpet that's kind of bent a little bit as a crumpet. What else?
Sun-dried tomatoes.
Sun-dried tomatoes. Folks, in South Alabama, my mom and dad always had a little garden out back. A sun-dried tomato is a rotten tomato. $18.95 for a bowl of rotten tomatoes. I said, what else do you got? She said, English biscuits. When I am an expert on biscuits. I figure they're not as big as those Baldwin County cat head biscuits. I figured if they're English biscuits, they're probably a little smaller. I said, bring me a dozen of those. Wrong again. They were cookies. Now, I'm not having a good time at all. She finally brought that Chamomile tea, and I'm sitting there trying to be all prim and proper with my wife and bond while these women are all staring at me. I reached over to get in that little teacup, and I jobbed my finger into that little hook there where you hold it. It stuck. I finally figured out why they hold their finger up. They're trying to keep it from getting stuck in that little bitty teacup. Now, I am a whole lot smarter than I look, believe it or not. So I figured I'm going to go run to the bathroom and get some soap and get this little teacup off my finger before I have to pay for it besides these rotten tomatoes I'm getting. I jumped up, and this is not funny at all. Please don't laugh. When I jumped up, I thought I'd put that little serviette napkin down in my belt. I had the whole tablecloth broke down in there. When I jumped up, Chamomile tea, rotten tomatoes, sun-dried tomatoes went everywhere, and let me tell you something. That lady in that canary yellow dress didn't look too good wearing those sun-dried tomatoes. If any of you men have never been to a Victorian tea room before, don't do it. Which brings me back to Mrs. Sophronia Claremont. I figured I'd get back around to her. I got to thinking, history had finally come alive to me. I finally thought about how our whole country was started. It was that Boston Tea Party. They were trying to keep those Victorian tea rooms from coming over here, and that's how we came around with America anyway. Woo! So many people serving God, so many different ways, but Jesus said, worship in spirit and truth. I believe in old-time religion, and I believe in a brand new day. It's safe to say I believe in the old and new. 'Cause we need some old-time praying, old-time shouting like they did in the good old days, when an old-time preacher talked about the blood of the Lamb. Amen. I'll sing about the old rugged cross, saving the lost in the good old-fashioned way. Get ready for the New Jerusalem. Anybody have their ticket for the New Jerusalem? All right. Here we go. You can go to an old camp meeting, listen to the Word of God, kneel down at an old-time altar with all of your sin. But when you ask the Lord's forgiveness, old things are passed away. Praise God, all things are new. You've been born again. Oh, we need some old-time praying, old-time shouting like they did in the good old days, when an old-time preacher talked about the blood of the Lamb. We'll sing about the old rugged cross, saving the lost in the good old-fashioned way. Get ready for the New Jerusalem. Come on, Mary Alice.
We need some old-time praying, old-time shouting like they did in the good old days.
God bless you. Now, several folks have asked about our little baby girl, Gabrielle Rose, and I don't know if she is in here or not. Is Gabrielle? Have they got her out here? Yeah, go back there and find that baby girl. Bring her out there on the side or something. Gabrielle Rose was born Valentine's Day, February the 14th. And I'll go ahead and tell y'all ahead of time, she looks like her mama. There's that baby girl right over there. Let that camera zoom in on that little baby girl. Look at Gabrielle Rose. Hey, baby girl. She has daddy's curls, but looks like mama, and we're not going to force her into gospel music. We're not even going to give her an instrument until she's 2 years old. One more time. See you, baby girl. Wave to everybody. She said, uh-oh. Mary Alice says, what in the world are we going, how do you say that?
I said, I wonder what she's going to do when she gets old enough to realize that her parents are not normal.
People ask us. I don't know why they ask me questions. I don't have any answers. They ask us, now with Gabrielle and y'all traveling all the time, what are y'all going to do when it's time for her to start to school? And I said, well, we're going to do like everybody else, except the fact that if any of y'all know me, I want you just to think about this for a second. We're going to homeschool. If any of y'all got a prayer list out there, slap us on the top of it. We're going to homeschool, and I can tell you right now, we are in big trouble.
I think we're going to be just fine.
No, we're going to be in big trouble is what we're going to be.
No, I really think we'll be fine. All we have to do is break it down into subjects. It's very simple.
Like what?
Like history.
I don't know where I was yesterday.
Okay, math. We need to teach her math, basic math, new math.
I didn't do any good in old math. And as far as I'm concerned, this new math stuff, 50% of the people don't like it. And the other 90% don't even know what it is. What else?
English.
English?
English.
We're in big trouble. I don't even have any idea. See, how in the world are you supposed to teach a child all that chemistry and I sit around and cipher on things all the time that I don't understand. So I don't know how in the world I'm going to teach her simple things. Okay? Heat rises, right? How come it's cold in the mountains and hot down in the desert? Somebody answer it for me. Don't look at me like I'm a dummy. I may be your closest kin. Another one I don't understand. Why is it you take any dog and you blow in his face just a little bit? You blow in his face, he'll go ballistic. But you put him in the car 70 miles an hour and he'll stick his head out the window the whole time. Don't laugh, explain it to me. Another one I don't understand. You go to a baseball game, 30, 40, 50,000 people. 7th inning, everyone stands up and sings, "Take me out to the ball game." We're already there. I don't understand. If my IQ drops much lower, the only thing I know is I'm going to end up being a politician. Yeah, boy. But I do know one thing. We are loving little Gabrielle Rose. What a sweetheart she is. And everybody says, well, you going to write her like one of them lullabies or something, you know, because I love to write music. So they said, are you going to write a song for your baby girl? So I did, and here it is. You didn't think it'd be serious, did you? Well, I met a sweet girl from Ohio, a buckeye in the snow. I was born in Alabama in the sunny Southland on the Gulf of Mexico. My girl's a classy lady, I don't mean maybe. You know that her blood is blue. But I'm here to say that my blood is gray, 'cause I'm a Southerner through and through. Well, when we got married, God made us one, put us in a brand new world. Things couldn't have been better, but a few years later, he blessed us with a baby girl. And it didn't cross her mind that a little girl would be from the north and from the south. But hey, diddle diddle, she's right down the middle. Let me tell you what I'm talking about. She loves bagels and grits. My, oh my. She says, howdy, y'all.
And hello, you guys. She likes a bottle of pop
with a chocolate moon pie.
She's a northern girl.
She's a southern girl.
But everything's gonna be just fine. 'Cause our little baby girl's standing on both sides of the Mason-Dixon line. She likes northern beans and southern fried chicken and a slice of shoe-fly pie. She likes NASCAR racing and figure skating. Go figure, we've already tried.
She loves to hear Shakespeare and old Huck Finn. But the funniest thing I know, when it comes to singing, her favorite two are Pavarotti and Bill Monroe. She loves bagels and grits.
My, oh my.
She says, howdy, y'all.
And hello, you guys. She likes a bottle of pop
with a chocolate moon pie.
She's a northern girl.
She's a southern girl. But everything's gonna be just fine.
'Cause our little baby girl's standing on both sides of the Mason-Dixon line.
Now, some of y'all are sitting there saying to yourself, Tim, that song's not religious at all. Hold on. Last night I had a dream that I went to heaven, and St. Peter said, come on in, y'all.
We love bagels and grits. My, oh my. We say howdy, y'all. Hello, you guys. We love a bottle of pop
with a chocolate moon pie.
Some of us are from the north, some of us are from the south, but everything's perfectly fine. 'Cause up here in heaven there's no such thing as the Mason-Dixon line.
Up here in heaven there's no such thing as the Mason-Dixon line. Yeah. Oh boy, I tell you what, that's worth going to, isn't it? For a lot of reasons. Hey, Mary Alice and I got a song, and we're gonna come back and we're gonna do some more stuff for y'all a little later on, some crazy stuff. But somebody want to hear some different instruments, and we've got a song that Mary Alice and I wrote for a bluegrass gospel band.
And the operative word in that sentence is band.
We don't have a band, but I work cheap and I got a multiple personality.
This is our band.
And it's a song called I'm Not Slowing Down, and y'all can help us out if you want to. Y'all have been great today. Here we go. I'm not slowing down.
Well, I'll keep walking. I'll be there in a little while. I hear the Savior talking. You only have a few more miles. Well, I'm not gonna turn around, not turning back. I'm headed for that heavenly town. I know what's waiting
over in the mountains over there, way up in the mountains, and I don't really know which way our house faces, but when we sit out on the porch, the sun goes down right in front of us every day, and we'll sit out there, and it goes the same place every time, and we'll sit out there, just hang with me. We'll sit out there. Have y'all ever noticed, like during a sunset, that you get to thinking a lot? It'll make you think about life. It does. I've heard that that's true with a sunrise, but I don't know. I live on Musician Standard Time. But we were sitting out the other day, we were sitting there on the porch, and I noticed that Mary Alice was kind of off in deep thought. And that sun was going down behind those beautiful mountains, and I thought, well, I don't want to interrupt her. And if she's thinking, I might as well do me some thinking too. So I just started thinking. I looked over there and she was thinking. And I was thinking. We were a thinking duo. And as that sun went down behind those beautiful mountains, I hated to interrupt the moment, but I said, Mary Alice, I could tell you were in deep thought. And if it's not too personal, what were you thinking about? And she said, well, I was just kind of reflecting over a book that I just read that talks about the correlation between the universe and how the Bible proves it, by Dr. Walter Russell. It's dealing with black holes, pulsars, quasars, and the fact that God said that I am the stillness and to be still, and that the fulcrum of life, the power is not in the lever, but it's in the fulcrum, and God is the fulcrum. And then she said, what were you thinking? I said, well, I was just sitting there thinking how hard it is to hold a cat and a dustbuster at the same time. Try it sometime. But I like to think of things kind of from a different point of view. You know, when you got an IQ below 6, you can do that. You know, ignorance is free, and I went ahead and just loaded up on it. So I got to thinking about a song I wanted to write, and I was kind of looking at it from a different point of view, and it's got a little bit of a bluegrass flavor to it, and it's a brand new one. Don't know it too loud yet, but we'll do it anyway, and hope y'all like it, and it's one that I wrote, so hang on. Well, there's so many reasons that I want to go to heaven, and Jesus, He's number one. I've heard all about those streets of gold and all the songs that will be sung, and I know that everything's going to be perfect. That's the truth. It's waiting in that land so fair. But sometimes I love to think about everything that won't be there. There won't be any headaches, backaches, stomach aches in that land. No connecting the dots with the H spots on my hand. No reading glasses to see, and no arthritis in my knee. Sometimes I love to think about everything that won't be there. Well, you'll never see me at my mansion shoveling snow. No poison ivy or grass up there to mow. No mosquitoes, ticks, or fleas, and no red ants a gnawing on me. Sometimes I love to think about everything that won't be there. I got y'all to thinking now, don't I? Well, at supper time, the phone will never ring, with a telemarketer selling me everything. My front door will never be locked, and no junk mail in my mailbox. Sometimes I love to think about everything that won't be there. Now listen, no calorie, fat, gram, carb counting on that shore. You won't have to fight at no diets anymore. No treadmill walking for me with these bunions on my feet. Sometimes I love to think about everything that won't be there. And there'll be no time in heaven throughout eternity. So I will never know when April the 15th will be. When I'm living beyond the stars, I won't call H&R, cause the IRS, well, they won't ever hear from me. Oh yeah, there won't be any headaches, backaches, stomach aches in that land. No connecting the dots with the H-spots on my hand. No reading glasses to see, and no arthritis in my knee. Sometimes I love to think about everything that won't be there. No kudzu on those hills. You'll never hear the sound of a dentist drill. Sometimes I love to think about everything that won't be there. Listen, I won't even use any Head and Shoulders for my hair. Well, sometimes I love to think about everything that won't be there. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, Mary Alice and I, we do live up in the mountains over. In fact, it takes us how long to get here? About 3 or 4 hours? 2 hours. And if you...
Seems like 3 or 4.
It's 2 hours, and if we had an airplane, we'd be here in 3 minutes. We live real close that way, but there's a couple of big mountains in between us. But we live way up in the mountains. And when we first moved there, when we got married and we moved there in the mountains, just hang with me. When we moved there, we needed to find a home church. Now, some of y'all know that's not easy to do. You know what I mean? And to find the right church. And so we checked, we asked a few people, and they said, well, there's really only 2 churches close to where we live. And so, we thought, we'll visit. And we called the first one, and he said, we don't have a sign, but said we will come and meet you. Being the dummy that I am, I loaded up my wife, and we headed down there to meet this guy on this gravel road early on a Sunday morning. Because it was close to home, you know. I was into saving gas. When we got there, I saw a lot of barbed wire. That should have warned me something. I saw that the church bus had gun racks in it. When we walked inside, you know, I should have known something was wrong. The first thing I saw in the lobby was an ATM machine. I should have known something was wrong. But no, we just kept on going in. We just went right on in there, and we sat down, picked up our bulletin, and we just went ahead and went for it. I noticed they kept referring to the facilities as the compound. That should have been a dead giveaway, but no, we kept sitting there. The choir came out wearing like these Harley-Davidson looking choir robes. Sang some song by Peter, Paul, and Mary, and we were still sitting there. Then the preacher came out, and he said, my sermon today is on... Y'all laugh at strange places. My sermon today is Jonah, the little shepherd boy, and his ark of many colors. And I leaned over to Mary Alice, and I said, baby, we're definitely going to church number 2. We went to church number 2, and it was on a Wednesday night, and something happened there. I'm telling you, we couldn't believe it. And Mary Alice said, are you going to tell that story? I said, no, it's too good to tell. I'm going to write a song about it. And the fella over there, if he doesn't sue me, his name is Levi Slocum. And we're going to do right now for you the Ballad of Levi Slocum. And then we are out of here. Well, it was Wednesday night prayer meeting. I had a holler up in the hills when the preacher said, did y'all hear today that one of our deacons was almost killed? Well, it seems that Levi Slocum, he was working on his tractor today when his dog named Blue ran into the jack. The jack started swaying and something cracked, and that jack just gave away. Well, his wife heard him a-hollering, and she thought that he was dead. But when she got to the barn, she said,
"Thank goodness it only hit your head."
And now they got him down at the county hospital under lock and key. They say something's wrong, his vision's hazy, singing loud, talking crazy, strangest of all things. He keeps hollering, he wants to hear our choir sing. Oh, when the preacher finished talking, that side door busted open, and there he stood, black and blue, big old Levi Slocum, with his hair straight up, one eye shut. He really scared us all. He had a knot on his head the size of the Taj Mahal. He said, "Folks, I've been lying at death's door all day just hoping somebody would pull me through. You know, the Lord's been good to me and I got no regrets. If it's my time to go, I'm ready to go. But I was thinking if I could do anything over again, it'd be just to hear the choir sing some old hymns out of the hymn book." And then it dawned on me, we don't sing out of the hymn books anymore. So I tied me some sheets together and made my great escape, and here I am. Now, Cousin Huey, you get to passing out them hymn books. Sister Peggy Jean, you get over there on the piano. We're going to sing them songs just the way that we used to. But before we do, I got something to say, and y'all better listen. I don't want no singing on the wall. I'm tired of it, y'all. I don't want to hear just a couple of words sung over and over and over again. I want to hear some four-part harmony, well, the way that it used to be, like Amazing Grace, and I surrender all. But I don't want to hear no singing on the wall. Then coming down the aisle was the sheriff with a smile and a couple of men in white coats to carry Levi away. Well, you should have heard the racket when they put him in that straight jacket, but it didn't stop Levi from saying what he had to say. I don't want no singing on the wall. Hey, I'm tired of it, y'all. I don't want to hear just a couple of words sung over and over and over again. I want to hear some four-part harmony, well, the way that it used to be, like Amazing Grace, and I surrender all. But I don't want to hear no singing on the wall. Hey, I'll be back. They'll never keep me in a place that only serves lemon jello. Has anybody got anything for a headache? My head is killing me. Keep passing out them hymn books. Listen, I know we spent a lot of money on that big screen, but I got an idea. We could take it down, put it in the Family Life Center. We could have the best Super Bowl party in the county next year. But one thing I don't want to hear is any more of that singing on the wall. Mary Alice asked me, she asked me to, you know, I write for a lot of the other groups, I write songs that are like ballads and all for people who sing serious songs like Ivan Parker and some of these ballads and John Starnes and Doug Oldham and some of those guys. And I write songs for them to do those big ballads, you know? And Mary Alice said, how come when you write for us, it ends up a song like Don't Sit in My Pew? And I said, well, I think a song should match the IQ of the person singing it. So she said, well, then I've got a little assignment for you. I don't want the whole album to be, this whole video to be just funny songs. So she said, if you wouldn't mind writing a serious kind of a ballad, and I don't even have the track to it yet, but I'm going to do it live. And so she said, I'm going to give you a subject. And the subject is our life here on earth and when it's over with. You know, it's just a vapor. And when our life is over with, then which way are we going or whatever, because it is over with. This is not a dress rehearsal, folks. This is it. So she said, I'm going to give you the subject basically of death. And because you can't make anything funny out of that. So I wrote a song called Live Your Life. I know you're just now hearing it live. Live your life so the preacher won't have to lie at your funeral. That's a good title, ain't it? This is about as big a ballad as I can write for myself. Well, I went to a funeral the other day. No one shed a tear. They were playing Happy Days Are Here Again and a verse of wasted years. The preacher stood, he was shaking. It was time for the service to begin. But when he started talking, he started coughing, and it dawned on me right then. You've got to live your life so the preacher won't have to lie at your funeral. Don't wait till it's way too late to get everything straight with God. Don't have everybody sitting there for an hour saying, look what I wasted on flowers. Live your life so they have something good to say. Second verse is a whole lot more serious. That's my favorite lick right there. Kind of sounds like Johnny Cash, don't it? Yeah. I'm Johnny's little brother, Petty Cash. Y'all be quiet, I'm trying to sing a funeral song. Good gracious. Gotta know when to laugh and when not to. I tell a decent joke and y'all sit there and stare at me. I sing a funeral song and you just bust out laughing. Y'all are warped. I'll see you at the next family reunion. Well, everyone was sitting there grinning. Pallbearers were telling jokes. I thought, man, I don't want that to happen to me when it comes my time to croak. The preacher said, there lies a good man. I believe it without a doubt. Then the widow jumped up and ran to the casket to see who he was talking about. You've got to live your life so you don't have to lie at your funeral. Don't wait till it's way too late to get everything straight with God. Don't have your friends sitting there for an hour saying, look what I wasted on flowers. Live your life so they have something good to say. Live your life so they have something good to say.